Welcome to the EW Podcast. I'm your host, Eric White. So, today's episode is a very special one for me. It is with my mom, Dr. Cristiana White. In this episode, we chat about my mom's journey from the Dominican Republic, where she was raised and where she started her psychology education, to the United States, where she would eventually raise a family, find work in her field, and continue her education. We discuss my mom's love for psychology and her work as a social worker and guidance counselor. In this episode, we also discuss our relationship and we highlight a specific period of difficulty we experienced that lasted for several years, starting around 2006. One of the major takeaways from this part specifically of our entire conversation that I just wanted to note up front is the role of memory in relationships and how two individuals can remember a significant event or series of events totally differently depending on their interpretation of those events. So this is something you'll see when we discuss our relationship and a period of turmoil we had that I thought started with the death of my uncle, her youngest brother, but is remembered somewhat differently by my mom. So I think this was particularly interesting to me when talking with my mom, and I just wanted to highlight that up front. So this episode was a real pleasure for me to get to record, and I hope you find it enjoyable as well. I don't think there's too much else to say leading up to this one, so let's get right into it. Here is my conversation with my mom, Dr. Cristiana White. So I'm here with Dr. Cristiana White. Mom, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. And how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's cloudy here, so see how the day goes. How's it in Pennsylvania there?
Over here is very hot. It's going to be like 90 some.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And humid, no doubt.
Yes.
All right. So Lauren's dad gave me this box of questions. They're just random icebreakers. So I thought it might be cool to start with one of these.
Okay.
All right. So who has had the greatest impact on the direction of your life?
Wow. Well, myself and you, everything that I do is for the two of us. It's like challenging you all the way. Yes.
I knew you were going to say something like that. I figured you would probably say something like you, meaning me. But
yes, you.
I guess I know you pretty well. Yeah, so I just wanted to chat with you today about a few things, like your coming to America, your history and mental health, and, we'll get to our relationship maybe at the end. But obviously, if people are listening to this, they can probably hear that you have an accent. So do you want to just enlighten us about where you're from?
Well, I am from the Dominican Republic, from a little town in the south of the Dominican Republic, in the border with Haiti, almost 30 minutes away. Yes. So we speak Spanish.
And you obviously were raised there, you grew up there, and when did you come to America?
Well, I came to America as a grown-up after I completed my college studies, yes.
And what did you study in college in the Dominican Republic?
I got a degree in psychology.
So you've always known that you wanted to deal with the mind and with people.
Yes, I knew that from a very early age. Grew up in a very large family. Of course, in my era, the discipline method was a harsh method, which I never understood. I always asked myself, why do people have to do that to the people that they love, that they're supposed to love so much? So I never understood that until one day I heard someone talking on TV, which I thought was a psychologist. I mean, later I learned he's a psychologist. And everything that she said, it was exactly what I wanted. I want to learn and maybe help people understand that there are some other ways to discipline your child that doesn't have to be physical.
So you got the belt a lot in Dominican Republic, right?
I did. Growing up, I did. I don't know why, because I'm so quiet, but I did get the belt. And it was really bad.
So what was it like growing up in a big family in a kind of poorer town?
Well, I was one of the oldest, and I was very responsible for taking care of my siblings. So I was like a second mom. I do have to do a lot of house chores and go to school, of course. And but there was something that school was all for me. I didn't miss a day. Even if I was sick, I was school. And so then my dad, very early in age, he kind of set the rules about school. School was important for him, for us to finish. So he will say, I don't want to see you talking to no boy on the street. You have your house. You can bring your friends here. Also, I don't want you guys to be having boyfriends because I want you to focus on your school. After you complete your high school, you can do whatever you please. Mm-hmm. And amen. That is exactly what I did.
That's good. Yeah. And you were one of the first of your siblings to come to America, right? For school?
Yes, I was.
Mm-hmm. And you went to Loyola in New Orleans, is that right?
Well, the thing is that growing up also, I was exposed to the Dominican priests and nun, the congregation, Dominican, and I was very excited about learning English. I remember I pretend to be stuck in English, speaking English all the time. So my ambition was one day I need to go to America to learn English. When I come to Santo Domingo from my little town to go to college, immediately I started to study English. Then when I finished, I kind of quit college for a little to study to be a secretary, to get me a job to pay for my university. And then I got a job in a publicity agency. So I deal with a lot of TV, radio. While I was doing that, one day I heard two kids talking about they coming to U.S. to study this and that, and suddenly got in my head that that's what I want to do right away. So I started checking, and I found that I was able to come to America to study English just for summer. So I started, I wrote a letter and I applied to many universities. And Loyola was one of the universities that was interested. So I was accepted to go there to study. But this was very funny. There was a funny story about that because I was so naive. I never thought that I had to have a lot of money in my checkbook to be able to get the visa to come to the United States. And I needed to prove that I have all this money. Well, when I went to get my visa for that, they said, let me see your checkbook. And I only have 5 pesos.
Pesos? Not even dollars?
Not
pesos?
Even dollars. And the counselor turned around and he's laughing with somebody else. And then he turned around and he said, okay, come back tomorrow. So I came back tomorrow and got my visa. And a coworker that lived next to the counselor told me, guess what? The counselor that interviewed you know me. He said you do not qualify for the visa, but he only gave it to you because the way you answered his question, you was very honest. And this is why he gave you the visa. But anyway.
Nice.
But how did I get the money? I went to my dad and I said, I need money to, I need this money to go to study English. He just asked me how much and when. And that was amazing because the trust that he has in me, he never even asked me, who gonna go? Who are you going with? Where are you gonna stay with? Nothing like that. He just gave me the money and I just went. And I came to America and studied English and I came back to my country, continued the university. And my goal was to come back for a superior degree. Then, as I work, I ended up getting a job in a place that they needed a bilingual secretary. And I was also going to school at that time. But right there, I met Mr. White. He was an engineer going there to do engineering consultant for that company. So we met, and then 2 years after, he came back. A year after, he came back, and then we started dating. He made everything easy for me to come to America to study.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, so you had some help to get here.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So you came to college in La Jolla, and you were studying. What were you studying there?
English.
Just English.
As second language, yes.
How long did it take?
It was an intensive class. I think it was like about 1 month, 2 months, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, you went back to the Dominican Republic.
I went back to the Dominican Republic. After I come back to the Dominican, I continued to work for the publicity agency as a secretary.
Gotcha.
But then I moved to work for a medical school for foreign students. And then the university, the doctors that run that medical school, have a disagreement with the owner of the university and decided to leave. So then I left with them. So then when I left with them, I didn't have no job. A friend said, in this factory, they have an opening. It's a factory where they manufacture air conditioning and refrigerators.
Gotcha.
So I went, got the interview, and they hired me the same day because they had this American man there, and they needed a secretary, a bilingual secretary. So then, I started working right away.
Just want to back up a little bit to your experience at La Jolla when you first came to America.
Yes.
Loyola?
Yes.
Sorry, not La Jolla.
Huh? Yes.
What was that like? Did you find it difficult to exist? Were you homesick? Did you face any discrimination? What was that experience like?
I was really kind of, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but people say I'm very bold.
Bold?
Bold. I decided to come to America. Before that, I never went to the airport in my country. But this time, I took a taxi, go to the airport, get me in the plane, come to Loyola by myself, find a taxi, go to Loyola, stay with my roommate. And it was an awesome experience. I didn't experience any discrimination along the way or no scaring event happened. It was an awesome experience. Even though when I was in Loyola, even the teacher, my English teacher, will tell us to be careful on the street, and we'll talk sometime about racial issue problems. And my boss in the publicity, his wife, a friend of them that they introduced me, they connected me with, he will go and visit me at the college. He will say, like, if we both walking on the street, he probably something bad gonna happen. So because in New Orleans, when they see a white and black walking together, they be mean to them.
And this was this was the 70s, was it?
70. It was actually in 81. It was too kind of scary for me to hear that this is going on, because I never heard that about in my country, thing like that. But it was like, we need to ride in it. We couldn't walk. I had to take a car, driving a car. Yeah.
But that's good that you never had to experience it yourself.
No. Even though there was like, some of the students, we will go shopping, took the trolley to the mall. And there was somebody from Mexico, a girl, and a woman gave her a purse to hold until she go to the bathroom. But that woman was just stole that purse and gave it to this little girl. So they had to call the dean at the university to go and deal with that problem.
Wow. So she probably took the money out of the purse and then bailed on the evidence.
And the police was after her. So then they took the little girl because they found the little girl with that. So that teach me to open my eyes and never kind of be so friendly with a stranger.
Yeah, be a little more skeptical of those kinds of interactions. Yeah.
Yes.
So what were your friends like in Loyola? Were you palling around with other Spanish speakers? Were you palling around with...
Well, my boss' wife, she's actually from California, but she will say, if you go into America to learn English, try not to hanging around with the Spanish speaking. You hang around with the English speaking so that you really take advantage of your time. So if you go to the cafeteria, just ask to see with somebody that speaks English. So I did that. I hang around with only the people that speak English, even though sometimes we will get together with, the other student the other students. So, but
was it a pretty diverse collection of students at Loyola?
It was. And for this summer class, there was a lot of people like from France. I met 2 good friends from France, and I hang around with them a lot. So we need to speak English because they didn't know Spanish. So, and then I met somebody from Puerto Rico. There was a lot of people from Mexico and things like that, Guatemala. Yeah, from all over, yes.
Was that in that time there, you said it was about 1 or 2 months. Was that enough to make you fluent in English or enough that you could speak? Yeah.
Yeah, because I already had a base. I was studying English in Santo Domingo, so I knew the grammar. So for me, the most important thing was the conversation.
Yeah, just being the immersion in the language and being forced. Yeah, I've been trying to practice my Spanish daily lately. Maybe we can speak a little bit later. But I noticed that, just the consistency is super important. And then I've been talking with Maciel on the phone every once in a while, and that, being in a conversation setting definitely goes beyond what a textbook can provide.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So whenever you were at Loyola, did you still have your interest in psychology? Were you still thinking about pursuing a career in that direction?
Yes, I was.
Was getting the English like a step towards that? Did you view it as getting you closer to that? Why did you want to learn English?
Well, first of all, because my sister, my oldest sister, she worked for the Dominican government. And she always said that there is tons of scholarship that nobody get because they don't know English. So I knew if I knew English, it was a way to get me here. That I can get a scholarship so I can come here. So that's why I was so focused on studying English. Yeah.
And then when did you restart your schooling in the direction of psychology? Was that when we moved to Grand Rapids to Michigan?
Well, Well, I graduated in the Dominican, right? Because I took a little break. I came here to study English, then I came back and go right back to college. So then, after I graduated with my degree in psychology, by then I already met David White, and we were engaged. So I as soon as I graduated, I came here. We got married, and then right after I started college. Someone told me it's better for me at the University of Grand Valley. The counselor told me, she was a Spanish counselor. So she told me that instead of psychology, why don't I pursue a social worker degree? Because then I will have more chance to get a job faster. So then I switched from psychology. Instead of getting my master in psychology, I got my master in social work.
Okay.
And then after that, right away after I graduated, I got me a job.
What was your first job working with the children? No, that wasn't the children who had HIV. That was later, correct?
Yes. My first job in Grand Rapids, Michigan was working for St. Mary Hospital with the homeless population. So we have homeless family and all individual. Yeah.
What were you doing with the homeless population?
Well, basically a lot of case management, like helping them, connecting them with services. Yeah. And the nurse and myself, we will go and do outreach. Go for a lot of area, like under the bridge, and find especially the guys, a lot of guys under the bridge. And we kind of invite them to the clinic, and we will provide them. There is a doctor on site, and we will have clothing and things like that, basic needs like toothpaste, stuff like that. And and then we will connect them with the services they needed, like if they needed to apply for Social Security or Medicaid, things like that, medical insurance, we help them.
Did you like that job? Did you like doing it?
I did, and I have a wonderful experience there because listening skill. There was a person that was an alcoholic, and he was Hispanic. And all the time, he will be on the street, passed out on the street. So the network of counselors around the area, we meet once a week. And because we work with the same people, we discuss patients. So we were worried about him. Because what we're going to do, he was in the hospital. Now he had to go to a recuperation house, but he didn't have no income, and there was no identification. Nobody knew if he has a Social Security number. So everybody was concerned about that. So one day I went to the place where he stays, and then I used my knowledge of psychoanalysis. So I get him to tell me his story from the moment that he was born. And he telling me all these things growing up and with his friend going to America and going to California and all these places. And something happened and he got arrested. They put him in jail. And then he says, bad, because when you go to jail, you lose everything. You lose everything. So I have somebody to tattoo my Social Security in my back.
Really? Wow.
And then I said, get naked. Take off your shirt. And he did. And I wrote that number and I run to the Social Security office. The social worker there was one of the members of that community that we had the meetings. When I told her that I had a number, she said, we had to no, I don't know how to do now because that's violating confidentiality. I said, but we gotta do something. So she went on. It was the right social security number. We helped him to apply. Then I went back to get him the good news. The man was so humble about it that he has a little bag that somebody gave him to carry his clothing. He gave it to me. I think that was one of my very successful stories working with the homeless population. It was really like you really had to take the time to listen to people's stories because they have all the information that you need there.
You just have to get it out.
You have to be caring and compassionate and really trust in them, like building that trust. Yeah, but anyway.
Wow. So I must have forgotten that you worked, or maybe I didn't even know that you worked with the homeless population, but
I did.
Yeah, you have a life of service, huh?
Yes, but I only did that for less than a year. Okay. Because then somebody from the Grand Rapids Child Clinic got to know about me through somebody from the YWCI, Women's Center. YMCA.
YMCA? Or?
The one for the women. YMCA.
WYMCA? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's the one for the men, and then there is the one for the woman. But I work for the one for the woman. The domestic violence. So I was doing some volunteer work. So she knew the director of the place. So they needed they wanted a therapist. And she talked to her about me. So she called me and said, let's go for lunch. So she offered me a very good job.
So you were working with domestic violence couples or individuals?
Yes, as a volunteer. But after this, while I was working with the homeless population. So then I went to work for the Grand Rapids Children's Clinic with moms and infants. That was a wonderful time. It was became so passionate about that work, working with moms and infants.
What were the mothers victims of domestic abuse, or why did they need assistance?
Well, the main issue was about bonding and attachment with the baby. For whatever reason, let's say your mom maybe went to jail. Now she's out of jail. Now she's having a hard time to connect with her baby. So we provide a lot of prevention type of work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, so I worked there for a while until we came to Pennsylvania.
So that's what you were doing before we moved to Pennsylvania in 94, was it?
Yes. So in 94, then I worked on at a hospital with family and children doing therapy, family counseling.
And that's kind of where my memory picks up. Is I remember going at least once with you to visit a child who had been diagnosed with HIV and was
no, you never really visited with me. One day
I visited once. I remember visiting a child who was in a bed, had lost his hair, was maybe we even played video games or something. But I distinctly remember going once with you. Yes.
No, it seems to me that look more like Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm thinking of the next job. But I remember going to Children's Hospital with you.
Yeah, maybe Children's Hospital in one of the work day, they bring the children to the workplace. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that. Yeah.
So there was a job in Pittsburgh before the Children's Hospital.
Well, I worked for that family and children outpatient center And I worked there for about 5 years. But then because of the schedule, I need to change because I wasn't there too much for you. So then I changed it to Children's Hospital. Yes.
And that's where you began to work with children who
then
HIV,
I work with children that were affected or infected with HIV.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That had to be hard. I think about that sometimes. And I mean, just that one visit that I had seems to be kind of a pretty bold memory in my mind. And I can only imagine what it was like working with families affected like that on a daily basis.
But you know what? Sometimes when you find the focus, it changes. Because at the beginning, my first week was pretty overwhelmed until one patient showed red in my face that I was feeling that way. And she said, I hate when people feel pity for us. Then I was going home very overwhelmed about that. Then I said, but they are dying. They are with this terrible diagnosis that is life-threatening.
Mm-hmm. What
can I do? How can I not be sad about it? And then the light clicked. And I said, you know what? I just have to focus on quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Making the life better, happier. And then that was the focus. So we did a lot of activities. My little office was a store. When the kids came, they go taking toys, all kinds of toys. I have all kinds of blankets or quilts for the mothers. In the clinic, we will have I would make sure to bring lunches, all the lunches for the clinic, for everybody to eat. We have activity like going to Kennywood, taking a big minivan and taking the whole bunch of families to Kennywood.
And for people who are listening who don't know, Kennywood is Pittsburgh's premier amusement park with roller coasters and everything. Because there's people listening who have no idea what that is. But
so that was fun. And then for Christmas, we will have a big Christmas party with a lot of toys, a lot of presents for the kids and the family. So compliance with treatment was really good because the children sometimes will remind the parents, when are we going to see Dr. White? But I was not a doctor then, but they were saying, they think that I was a doctor. When are we going to go and see Dr. White? So, going there to get blood taken out or something like that, it's really scary. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the parents will not follow through, but that way it make it less complicated.
You remember the movie Patch Adams, I'm sure?
Yes.
With Robin Williams. That kind of remind me of that spirit of trying to help the patients not focus on what is wrong with them, but just enjoy the moment in whatever way possible, right?
You have a good point there, because sometimes when we are in a crisis, we cannot think about that. And I remember a mom that her teenager was almost at the end of life. And I remember she was so upset about her daughter being sick, and a lot of blame and a lot of guilt and stuff. And I remember when we talk about focus on the here and now, enjoy her today. What happened happens, but the dear, she leaving us. Enjoy this moment. It did make a big difference. Yeah. Even the doctor gave me money to go and buy a boombox, a TV that the girl likes, and she be playing her music. So it was good to that moment to focus on in the problem. Let's find the positive, the moment. Even though the positive will be like we have it there for this moment, right? We still have time to kind of enjoy it.
Right. you're here now. Might as well enjoy
Yes,
that.
exactly, because you know you have no control over what coming next.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I don't want to get too deep down this, I guess, but just for some clarity, these children were infected by HIV probably because the parent had it or because
yes,
they passed it
yeah.
through birth, right? Okay. Yeah. That's got to be tough for everyone.
Yeah, but the good thing is that now the things are changing and the numbers of people infected or affected are lower.
Yeah, because I guess that's kind of at the tail end of the peak of it was because if I'm correct, it was like the 80s or the early 90s where HIV was being kind of viewed as a major health crisis in America, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But now it's, the outlook is better now. It's
And the
more
treatments
control.
seem to be improving. You know, Magic Johnson, the basketball player, has been HIV positive for 20 years?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Maybe even longer. But how long go ahead?
But what may I say that one thing that I remember about that was so interesting was that you was going to Catholic school then. You was in elementary school and they allow you to write a paper about HIV. I think that was so awesome.
I vaguely remember that.
Yes,
I must have been
I think
young.
I still have it someplace. I keep
Really?
it because it was really amazing that at your age you were so concerned about it and want to share it with your classmate, and that the people make it possible for you to do that. Your teachers, I think that knowledge is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you made it possible for me to do that too, presenting or exposing me to these kinds of what other parents might consider things to shield their child from. You know, I think that you kind of took advantage of the moment to teach me empathy and compassion.
Yes.
So very grateful for that, Mom, for sure.
All right.
So you worked there for several years. And
like about 5. Yes.
And then you made the switch to the school system.
Yeah, then while I was going there, I went back to school for my certification as a school counselor. And then after that, then I moved on to a job as a school school social worker for 2 years. And then after that, I went to elementary school for school counselor, or until now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And were you, because I know within the last like 5 to 10 years, maybe a little longer, it seems like you've been very interested in the mind, like philosophy of mind and how it works, and you know, things like that. Was that always part of your interest, even when you were a social worker at Children's Hospital?
Always, since the very beginning that I decided I'm going to study psychology. Remember what I say when I was growing up and getting beat up all the time? And I have always that question, why people that's supposed to love you hurt you that way? I couldn't understand that. So, and that's why understanding human behavior, that have been my thing all the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an answer for why that is? Why does that happen?
Well, to answer your question, yes, I kind of, because I'm going to share something that happened between me and my mother.
Okay.
Through the years doing this work and really studying and training, I read a book and that was talking about when people cry easily, it's because there is a lot of inhibited anger. So I did cry easily. So I saw all my anger from my childhood was there. So one day, when my mother came to visit me, I told her. And I was amazed by her answer. She said, yes, what I did was wrong. But I did what I know to do. That was the way that my parents raised me. Do you think that if I knew then what I know now, I would do that to you? No, that was wrong. So that statement from my old mom was very healing.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I never again had that need for crying.
Sorry to cut you off, but I remember you telling Lauren and I this story last time we were in Dominican Republic. I think it was. What specifically did she do? Was it something? I forget the details.
Well, the thing is that my mom and dad, whenever we did something wrong, they had to hit us. That was the same. And especially with me, I was one of the oldest, so they put a lot of responsibility on me that didn't belong to me because I was just a child, but I was doing all the things that a grown-up need to do. Cleaning house, doing laundry, taking care of the kids, all that kind of stuff. And if I did something that was not as expected, like cleaning the house, then I get a beat up. It seemed like that. So I couldn't understand. It was like, failure is not allowed. So, but anyway.
So through all these jobs, working with people in the U.S., did your Dominican heritage, your accent or anything ever get in the way of your work, or was it more of a blessing that you had that Dominican background?
Well, tell you what, for some people, it's kind of difficult to understand my accent. But the amazing thing is that I have worked with children all my life. And for the children, it's very intriguing and they love my accent. So I can have a parents that has some hesitation about, am she going to be able to help me? But when I go and the children's are there, that hesitation disappeared. Because then the children connect really quick and really, really want to do things. For some reason, they get very motivated and the relationship is easy to develop.
Yeah. That's one reason I'm so interested and supportive of, good proper education for young people. I mean, obviously you instilled that kind of belief in me early with, you always said, if there's one thing I'll always buy for you is a book. You just let me know what book you want and I'll get it for you. But going back to what you said, like the young children don't have those ideas or those beliefs in their head yet about people who are different. So like there's the whole, the racism conversation in America has been started again. And, one of the things that's bad about it, I think right now, is that kids who are maybe expressing these perspectives that are considered racist are being excluded from education, right? Which is probably a bad thing.
It is, because I think that when racist is sign or an event that indicate that is race hidden or express racism, that is a teaching moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
especially
moment,
with a kid.
Exactly. It's not punishment. We don't need punishment. We need teaching, learning to be able to help the child, the young child, the person to be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Back
to you. So you got into being a social worker at a school, and that while you were going back to school, while you were in school, you were working at a school, right? Or were you in school while you were at Children's Hospital?
I was at school when I was at Children's Hospital.
Okay.
But I need to go back on this so that you see, just to make the point about how important it is to be determined about something.
Okay.
When I got my master in, actually, when my psychology degree in Dominican Republic, I did all my thing was in the school. Seems like I really want to be a school psychology or something. So then when I get my master, I do my internship and my practicum in the school system. So I wanted to go to school, but it's so difficult. So instead of school, I always ended up going to hospital. So then when I came here and I'm working for the outpatient family and children clinic, one day I went to school to see a child that I was working with, and I like that school. So I went to the human resource department and I said, what should I do to apply for a job here? Because I have a home school visitor certification. So I was able to do a school social work. And then he said, well, it's difficult to get into the school system, but if you have dual certification, it's easy for you. So when I check into that, oh my God, I said, going back to school. I let it pass for a couple of years, but never left my mind. So one day when I'm working at the children's hospital, I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. And I went back to school and got my counseling certification. And I remember when the dean at the university asked, where do you hope to work for? And I told the name of the school that I wanted to work for. Not to make the story too long, my story too long, I had to say, I got the job. I interviewed for the high school, the middle school, and I didn't get it, but I got the elementary school, and that's where my heart was. So, yeah. So anyway, determination. So I keep on trying. Mm-hmm. And if I fail, it didn't matter. Then I keep on preparing myself to try again. Mm-hmm. So that's why people say I'm bold, because when I want something, I go after it.
Yeah, like the PhD you got whenever, how long ago is that? 6 years? No, a little longer than that.
I graduated in 2014.
So about 6 years ago.
Yes, because I say I'm coming to U.S. for a doctorate. And that be in the back of my mind all the time. But then I'm thinking, it's too long, it's too much work. It's too this and that. But one day I say, you know what? If I don't do it, I'm going to be going through a despair. When you study the stages of development, the last one, if you didn't accomplish what you wanted, you be in despair. I say, no, I don't want to be in despair. I'm going to go back to school and get my doctorate. And I actually love it, every minute of it.
So what eventually made you what eventually pushed you to do that and to go ahead and go for it?
Just what I say. I didn't want to retire one day or finish and have that in the back of my mind that I needed to accomplish that.
Right.
So
but was that always a concern of yours, or was there, I guess my question is, was there some final thought or event that was like, okay, now I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to sign up. I'm going to start taking my first class.
Well, no, beside that determination of go and get it, it was you going to college. And I said, Eric is going to college. What about if I go? Maybe we can finish at the same time, this and that. So, yes, I guess it was good that I did it, but it was when I look at it, it was a little selfish of me to do that. Because then I wasn't really 100% available to you, because I was so invested in my own life goal. So
the chips fell as they were supposed to. I mean, we obviously went through a little difficult patch there during that time in college. Was definitely kind of running through a period of difficulty for us, and maybe we can just go ahead and get into that now.
Yes.
So from my perspective, the period of difficulty all started when Tio Nonito was killed in the Dominican Republic. And I guess I'll just give a little background on that before you respond. So I'm going to mute you for a second while I talk because I can hear myself. It was 2014, 2000. It was 2004. Like 2004. 2006. Okay, so I was 16 that summer, and Tio Nonito, my mother's youngest brother, was working on a farm in the Dominican Republic and got into an altercation with a neighboring farmer over the use of water. Is that correct?
Nonito, at that time, he was trying to be the mayor of the town. So he was it was time of election.
That's right. He was running for mayor.
Exactly. So then he was doing really good. I mean, and then he has this very good friend of his, and the two of them has a farm next to each other, right? And the farm, they had to, because it's very dry out there, they had to take turn with the water to irrigate the land. So the two of them then got in a little disagreement about that. Who turn was it to get the water? So then the next day when Nonito went to the farm to get the water, this person who probably has some other issues, it could be politics or whatever, but anyway, seems like this person was waiting for Nonito and took him by surprise and shot him. And then he ran away, and the friend of this person that shot him will say, oh my goodness, he killed him for nothing. So that was like some kill for nothing. Yeah. So anyway.
And so that, and this again is from my perspective of things. We've talked about this a little bit, but we'll probably get a little deeper than we have. From my perspective, that created a lot of pressure or hurt feelings in you that you were maybe unable to properly address given the distance between you and your family. And I think from my perspective, and again, I'll give you a chance to jump in here, but that created maybe a sense of inner turmoil in you that I kind of got the brunt of when it became difficult. Is that fair?
Well, what happened is when I was called that Nonito died, for some reason you came from school and got in the house, listened to the message that my sisters live there, saying, oh, Nonito, they killed Nonito. So you listened to that. And you was a young kid. So I think you was in middle school. You probably...
No, I think I was in high school. I was 15 or 16 then. So if it was 2006, I would have been... There
was less than maybe I'm wrong about the day. Because I think it was middle school. But...
wasn't it June 6, 2006? Wasn't that...
Oh, yeah.
666? That was always the...
That's it. Yeah. So then you called me. I wasn't working at school. And then I say, oh, maybe it's a mistake. I'm going home. So I went home and you was there. And I listened to the message and called my sister. And yes, it was Nonito was killed. But I did the worst sin in my life. The worst sin in my life was that I was so consumed by it that I didn't pay attention to you. You left, maybe back to school. I got busy preparing to go to the DR, but I never really sit down and talk with you about it. Then I left, and then I come back, and I never talked to you about it. Mm-hmm. And I now, with the years, after I think about that, that was the wrong way to handle that.
But isn't it funny though that you perceive the problem was that you didn't talk to me, and
Yes.
I perceived the problem was that nobody was talking to you.
Yes, no one was talking to me. That's right. You get that right. So there was no talking.
Mm-hmm.
There was no talking. But you was the child that I should have seen and explained you what was going on, but I never did that. And then life continued like nothing was happening, when in reality, he was one of the uncle that I was really, really close to.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely, I remember, I mean, some of the memories I have with him are still the most vivid I have, riding on the back of his motorcycle with him, going to the ball games, going dancing with him late at night.
Going to the farm and going running after the chicken. Yes.
Yep.
But I never, it was like, I don't know. And I feel so sorry about it. The way I handled it, it was not the appropriate way. I should have took the time to talk with you about all that, and I never did.
Yeah. Well, like you said with your mother, hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to point out the mistakes when you've 10 years away from it.
Yes.
And, it happens. I feel like we've both come to a better place since then, but why do you think you made that decision then to kind of not address it as deeply?
It was not a conscious decision. It was something that who going to expect that one of your brothers or sister going to be killed?
Yeah, it's not something you plan. You don't plan that conversation.
It's like I've been all this year on denial. It's like that thing really hurt my whole family. My whole family has never been the same. Grandma has never been the same. It was like everybody had aged. We look not as happy and bright like before. It's like this thing is missing. And then no one over there is talking about it. It's like we still haven't really properly grieved about that or mourned that.
Yeah.
So
you have your regrets with it. I have mine as well. I distinctly remember you, after he had been killed, you were planning to go there for the funeral, and you asked me if I wanted to go. And I think we actually remember this differently, but I remember saying, no, I don't want to go, and choosing to stay in Pittsburgh. And that has always been a regret of mine, because it makes me feel as though I am kind of witnessing the grieving of my family from the outside, which I kind of kick myself for, and not taking the opportunity to be there with everyone during that difficult time. But you don't remember that happening, do you?
No. I'm telling you, I was completely numb. I was, the only thing I remember was trying to call the airline and get a ticket to go there, and probably just go to sleep, waiting for the next day to take the plane and leave. And that was it. Yeah, I was completely numb. It was my youngest brother, my baby brother that I got along so well. Yeah, and it was, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you perceive our relationship in the same way, in that was kind of a turning point for our relationship? Or do you, because to me that event marks a kind of before and after period, where before, you had always demanded a lot from me in school, you had always expected me to do well, but I never really, I can't think of events where I felt like I was unloved before the event, and then afterwards there was some of that going on. Do you perceive it kind of the same way?
No. I'm going to tell you that when I think about mom and child, Eric, when I have you, I was all alone. I remember trying to remember all the things that I did for my little sibling so that I can do it with you, but I couldn't remember. And then I decided to go to get the books. So I raised you by the book.
Mm-hmm.
You was my perfect art. My perfect art. I mean, also I worry because I remember when you growing up and my broken English. I couldn't speak Spanish to you. I couldn't speak English because it was broken English. And when you said, read me a book, I couldn't read you a book. I had to tell me what you see in the book. Sure, you learn how to read a book without really reading a book. And through that thing, somehow, you decided you're going to learn to read. By kindergarten, you already knew how to read. So then you was really reading for me. So then when you grow old, as you grow older, go to kindergarten and stuff like that, and you ended up being a gifted kid. I have a big head. I'm so proud. Like, oh my God, the perfect art. And whenever you got a bad grade, I was in your case and you said, Mom, I'm human. But I forgot about that. I would say like, Eric, you are smart. So, and seeing we're going like that all the time. And I expected you, if grandma came to visit, I say, don't talk with grandma about this and that. But Mom, I'm just a child. But you are a smart child. So I was putting all this and just looking at my perfect art, and I failed to look at that possibility that, yeah, it's not really perfect, that it's okay not to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I go on trying to raise you, Eric, and everything you did. And, I taught you, like, you don't go to bed angry. And the first time that we have an argument was about you didn't want to go to karate. And I want to make you go to karate. And you say you better be dead. Oh, my goodness. I remember I went to bed. I didn't know what to do with that one. And then you came to me and you said, Mom, remember, we cannot go to bed angry. We need to talk. And I got up and I sit down and we talking. And the other thing that I really, it was important for me, for you to have that look, the eye contact, because since growing up, we were not allowed to do that in my culture. And you was sitting there looking at me and talking. And when you're doing that and looking your behavior, I was so proud that about what I was experiencing, that tears were in my eyes. I didn't want you to see the tears, but it was tears because I was so proud. And if I put my eyes down, you say, Mom, look at me. Let's talk.
That's
Eric, I was so proud of you. And again, as we go older, when the relationship really got messed up, Eric, was when you start experimenting with alcohol.
Yeah.
That's because my perfect art, I was not drinking, so I knew I didn't have to talk to you about that. I felt like that's the area that I don't have to worry about that. No, my child. How naive I was. I had some training at college about substance abuse, alcohol, but that was not for my child. So I didn't. And then when that happened, it took me, my fight flight response got activated.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the freeze mode that I couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Or I went into my, my guilt and shame came in, and I used that.
I think just for a clarification, I'm your only son, your only child.
Yes.
And Dad was married previously and has children of his own that are outside of you. So there was maybe a little more pressure on you to get it right this time, right? You had one shot and you wanted it to be perfect.
Well, Eric, my family, my mother will always say that you was my doll. Because everything that I did was for Eric. But I completely lost sight of he's human. And human experiment with him. And I had to provide the knowledge for him to know how to handle certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. And when the moment came, instead of being there to kind of teach that, I was more centered on me, my shame and stuff like that.
Instead of focusing on my experience, you were focused on where had I messed up? Where had you messed up?
Where I had messed up as a mother.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So was it hard then for you obviously you have all this education and experience and situations that are similar. Why do you think it was difficult for you to apply that stuff to our relationship? Was it just
Eric, when it comes to Eric, now that I am like sitting most of the time and trying to read and trying to analyze what is going on, when it comes to Eric, I freeze when Eric is in danger. Eddie was 2 years old. He take his motorcycle. I take to the park.
I remember this.
He go in his motorcycle. He go right against the tree. And what do I do? I just stay there. Do nothing. I couldn't do anything. When Eric is in trouble, I go in a crisis mode. I don't do anything. Mm. It's like I don't know what to do. It's a crisis mode.
Yeah, it's probably just a very human response to whenever it's your child or you're someone you love so much, to not think with your knowledge, but to think with your feelings,
But some people will not do. I mean, we are unique and different. Mm-hmm. But this is my way of dealing. When it's Eric, I get so frightened. My anxiety is really go high. the fear of something happening to my precious one, it really freezes me. And I still, to this moment, Eric, when sin happens, it's like I get really scared. Now, I'm going to tell you, as I think about that, there is learning about family system, and when there is a member of the family that is sick or one child is born with some kind of problem, the family experiences a loss. I experienced the loss of the perfect child. In my mind, I wanted a perfect child. I was building that perfect art. Mm-hmm. And yes, I have all this knowledge and all this training about human behavior. But for some reason, it didn't click on me to apply it on my own.
Right. I mean, it's much easier to give someone advice than it is to follow it yourself. That's a human bug, if you will.
Exactly. And like when you're talking, there is the 5 stages of grieving: denial, the anger, the bargaining. What about if I didn't go for my doctor and I be home and then the loneliness and hopelessness, mm-hmm. and the sadness. some kind of depression symptoms, like suddenly because of that. But then now you go to the acceptance, the realization that Eric is a human being. And since goodness, I came to that realization. And after that, then I don't have no more nightmare. And I'm able to enjoy every single experience that you have. When you have it down, it's sad. But it's very rewarding to see how you shake it up and go to an up, right? Because I already, come to the realization, my son is not perfect. Yeah, that's, there's no such a thing as a perfect. In that art that I was building, there are some defects here and there. I didn't get it perfect. Nobody gets it.
That's what makes it unique, right? Is the defects, as you say, the imperfections make it a unique.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in your view, the death of Nonito wasn't completely influential in how our relationship developed or deteriorated, however you want to call it. It was a small part in your mind.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
That's interesting, because to me it's like the pivotal moment in my mind where, and maybe my experimentation with alcohol and things like that happened around the same time, and so it seems that the two are linked to.
Yes, probably. Yeah, because the thing is, before that, we have an awesome relationship. I remember that you would come to me to talk about anything. And by the way, I remember you always made sure that I wear my counselor hat. Because when you talk about something and the mother in me come with the advice, you say, Mom, I'm talking to the counselor. Then I have to switch to my counselor hat. So we have a beautiful relationship. We will talk about anything. We sit down and actually talk. And you, I can tell you, enjoy me listening. And then, Eric, when you got to your experimentation and you needed me there, and I was not able to be there, and when you say, Mom, you help a lot of people, but you was not able to help me, that gave me a way. That hurts.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Because, here I am trying to kind of help people. But the one person that I needed to be there and really help, I kind of messed up on that. But So,
but in your defense, there's two things. One, the way that you and Dad raised me, did give me the tools to eventually right the ship. Going through whatever I went through, a depressive period. I mean, I was equipped with the things and the ability to right the ship because of you and Dad and how I was raised. So that is a star in your column. And also, I'm not so sure that I would have been receptive to your help during that period anyway. I maybe needed to find it somewhere else to be able to see our relationship in a new light and to be able to understand the things that you were going through from, a perspective outside of us, if that makes sense.
Yes, but now that we have a more like a clear mind, and I come to the realization that, it's Eric's life. Eric's life is his life. And I also remember before that I let you do all kinds of things because I want you to be prepared. I keep on thinking, it's better to see Eric doing all these things and get him prepared so that one day when I'm not here, he knows what to do. That's why we send you all the way to Australia as a young person right?
Yeah.
And
I
I
got the
enjoy.
tattoo.
Oh, that's another story. But yeah, So we enjoy it. I enjoy all that kind of stuff. That you're doing all this, and then I said, the day that I go, I'm no longer feel like, oh my goodness, when I go, what's gonna happen to Eric? I'm not longer find myself asking me that question. Because what are the things that you have not done, Eric? Seems like you've done a lot.
Skydiving. I've never been skydiving. Yeah. No desire to do that though.
Yeah. You haven't have a family, yes.
No.
I guess I would not know that, but that's okay. But yes, I mean, there is no need for me to ask that question. How will Eric respond to this? No. I already know Eric. I already how Eric will respond to stuff. I have a picture of what is going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I come to the realization, again that I mean, didn't I enjoy my dad freedom to let me go to New Orleans without even asking me who go with me? That was a very amazing thing. Mm-hmm. Feel that people really trust you, your judgment to do stuff, to go places and do things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To let you do what you like, what you want. I want to go to college. I didn't have to ask my parents. Mm-hmm. I knew what I needed. I know. I mean, the way my dad put it was, after you finish high school, you do whatever you want. So I know, okay, I'm going to go to college. Okay, money. Where I need to find me a small job to pay for my college. So I did. So I'm very glad that he put all this on me. Mm-hmm. And that was the way that I want to raise you. In a way.
I think you did a good job, Mom. I'm not. I don't have any regrets, really. I mean, there's things that sucked that happened, but
but
everything worked out. Yeah,
it needed to happen. Yeah. It was part of your journey, right?
Yeah.
So and So that's life. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's been amazing. It has been amazing. Yes. Yeah.
So let's just bring it back to you, I guess, unless there's more you want to say on our relationship. I guess we could keep going on that if we wanted to, but I mean, you're still working, you're still involved in therapy and helping people, right?
Yes. And but I'm whining now.
How does our relationship or our journey inform the therapy that you do today?
Well,
does it have any place in what you do?
It does, because it confirmed a lot of, like that saying, like the way I manage certain things with you, and especially that thing about lack of sitting with you and educating you about alcohol and all these substances. I didn't see the need for that. So then that's now that I made sure when I had the opportunity to kind of advocate for it, mm-hmm. for people to do that. Because people need to inform their kids, mm-hmm. to make better choices, mm-hmm. more appropriate choices. Right. Yeah.
And do you think it's important to, like, I guess, how does that informing of those substances look? Is it a honest conversation about what they are, or is it a discussion about why they're bad? Or, I mean, because I would imagine it being a conversation of just, this is what it is, you need to make your own choice, here's what bad could happen.
Yeah, well, here's like it, what they are, what is it, mm-hmm. is it? Yes. And let the individual to make their own choices. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, because I don't think that nobody has the right to tell the other person the way they should live or be. Mm-hmm. That is our own particular choice. who we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not going to live your life. I'm going to live mine. Because I probably will be not happy living yours, right? I have to live my own.
Yeah.
So, so that's it. It's kind of just enjoy every moment.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I'm here now that I came to all this realization. I'm glad that I'm here just in case that if you ever need me.
Yeah.
If you don't, that's okay. But, it's like, I stay on the side. Just
well, I guess the needs change, right? The needs change. They don't,
exactly.
It's less of a need and more of like a missing or just a reassurance, or not necessarily I need you to fix this in my life, but it's like I just need you to be there, to be able to hang out and to be able to get that nostalgic kind of feeling of being with your family and being young again in some ways. Yes.
Yeah. It's like going back to my perfect art and thinking about it. Let's say my perfect art was this smart kid, and it's the truth. Remember when we send you to all this college, you're going to be a doctor, a sport doctor first, and then you say, no, a neurosurgeon? Mm-hmm. So my perfect art was complete. I said, ooh, my neurosurgeon. But thinking about it, let's say that my perfect art become a neurosurgeon, but my perfect art is empty inside.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work of art that is only appearance, but that there is no essence in.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good, right?
Yeah.
So I come to the realization, it's the right thing. When you came here from college and you say, this is my one-way ticket to California, and I said, but Eric, we are too early. What you gonna do? And you say, Mom, where are you from? Where are you now?
Yep. It's always a good argument. It's just, look at you, Mom. What did you
do? And then I say, you're right, Eric. You go right ahead. Exactly. Yep. It's fair. And I'm very proud. Since you was little, you never keep anything in. You always put it there. I say, you was in elementary school, I think. And I said something about hating something. And later on, you came to me and you said, Mom, you hate me or you hate what I did? And then I said, oh, Eric, I love you to death, but I hate what you did. So you have always been that kind of person. Mm-hmm. That don't hold the grudge. I like to pronounce that word, but I don't know how. You don't hold a grudge.
A grudge at the beach?
Exactly.
Go to the beach?
Yeah. Exactly. You don't hold one. You say it.
Yeah.
You are just the person that I wanted to be. You're very assertive, right? That look, confident. Yes.
Can you give us just one go to the beach, just so that they know? Ask if I want to go to the beach.
No. How about you have a good sense of humor. Growing up here, in my accent, I remember I would always say, I think. And you say, Mom, how are you going to think? There's no water in here.
Just for a little background, anytime my mom says, do you want to go to the beach? It always comes out, do you want to go to the bitch? Because of her accent. So we always give her a hard time about that. So.
Or you would say, like, I have to stop to put gas at shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yes, it's good. We always have a good sense of humor about my accent, mm-hmm. and it's good. I mean,
have you ever felt that? I know you said before at Loyola that it didn't get in the way, but or it didn't get in the way with your work with children because they didn't have those worries or preformed judgments about someone with an accent. Did you find that it ever got in your way of your work or your relationships with adults?
Well, there was one time a while ago I called a place because I was working with a teenager that was in that organization, and I needed to go there for a meeting. And it was another professional like me. So I was talking to the professional social worker, and she asked me, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "Yes." "Can you tell me your degree?" And then I said, "Why? Why is that?" And she said, "So that I know how I'm going to talk to you." So she probably got very, how do you call it? My accent kind of block her. How do you say it? When you don't know what to do, like you're talking to a person that has an accent and suddenly you don't know.
Yeah.
There is a word for that. But
I'm not sure, but she had a preformed judgment in her head about you based off your accent and wanted to...
I don't know what it was, but to know my degree, to be able to talk to me, I saw that was something. But yeah, so, and don't get me wrong, I have experience like going to the bank, not to the bank that we are now, but before I would go to the bank. Somebody is in front of me and they are white and I'm black. I see that they're managing that person. And then when I go, they say, "Give me your ID." So they ask for my ID. And I'm thinking, but she didn't ask the ID to that person. So, but anyway, or going to the store, it haven't happened in a while, but what's happening a lot, that people in front of me, okay, everything going good, but when come to me, "Can I have your ID?" All right. So I say, what is this?
Could just be because you always look so young. You look younger than your age. They need to make sure you're old enough. Are you 18, ma'am? Are you 18?
Just to buy groceries or something? Yeah. It was not like I was buying alcohol.
Right.
So, but yeah, something like that. Little thing like that happens. But the one thing that I had to say is like working with the children. And actually, when my patient grown up, I never had actually problem with patient. It's sad to say that the problem that I have had is with professionals or coworkers.
But is it a problem of
because of the accent?
Understanding, or is it discrimination?
Well, sometimes it's questionable. Sometimes it's questionable. So, but yeah, but not with the families or the children. Like I said, in my place of work, I will have like a Spanish club for little kids. I usually have 60 plus children in my Spanish club. We had to meet at 7:15 in the morning, and the parents will bring them. Even in the winter when there is rain, they will be there. So that was pretty amazing. So that's a very wonderful experience that I have working with family and children. Yeah,
the kids always loved you. I remember, especially at the job you're referencing right now, you were a fan favorite over there.
I know. I keep on saying, like, oh my goodness. Sometimes I feel like I'm more famous than Michael Jackson. Yeah. I say, oh, I get with these kids. Yeah, but that way, yeah. So they very open to learn. Children, yes. So
that's always been your focus, was children, right? That's always been your prime focus.
Children and family, yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So life have been very interesting.
Yeah, still more to go. Not done yet.
Yes. So, but determination take you. Oh, and the other thing is like self-care, trying to take care of ourselves. Like I had learned from very way when I was my first job in Michigan. It was very stressful for me to work with my accent, but I came out with across to another counselor that was Spanish and introduced me to the world of yoga. So I've been doing yoga since very early, like early 20s. And that is something that really helped me, and something that I do every morning. And people even notice. Even I had children in the morning at school. They would say, "Mrs. White, do you ever get angry?" I said, "Yes, you bet I do." "Why you ask me that?" "Because you always look so nice and soft." And then I said to myself, if you only knew all the time that I had to do, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in the morning.
Yep.
So anyway, yes.
And they wouldn't imagine that you're a master karate expert too.
I know. And you too, almost, right?
Well, you passed me, right?
I passed you because you went to college, but that was an experience, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You was my senior, so I had to call you yes, sir. And sometimes you even want me to call you yes, sir at home, and I said, no, I'm home. Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Yeah, yes. Those were good experiences for sure. Good, good bonding thing for us that we used to do.
Yes, that was...
Definitely it plays a role in how I am today, I would imagine, in terms of discipline and just respect for others. So,
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that I have that. I hope that I do. I mean, I like to think that I'm respectful and
yes, you are very respectful. Yes, indeed. Because I remember growing up, and everybody wanted to invite you over because they like you as a model for the kids. Even my brothers, they always pay for you to go with them to the island.
Yeah.
Because, So that's a good thing, but that's also puts a lot of strain on you, right? I mean, stress, because then you have to find yourself thinking that you have to behave good the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Because people expect... now I need to share this because I thought about when you was a tiny little kid and you are in the karate tournament at the University of Pittsburgh. You are in elementary school and you fly over these 12 people to break 2 boards, and you was on TV and your teacher the next day that saw the news at 11. And he said, "Oh, hey, you taking karate? I saw this little thing flying over 12 people and breaking a board. I couldn't realize that it was you." And then I said, "Wow, Eddie, yeah, that's cool." I said, and then you said, "Mom, but I don't like that because then they expect too much of me." I don't like people doing that because they expect too much of me.
Yeah, it's better to exceed expectations than it is to fall short of them.
Exactly.
No one wants their expectations to be too high where it's impossible to meet them, you know.
But
go ahead.
It's very stressful, yes, now that I look at it, that people always wait for you the best. It's like you have no room to fail.
Right.
Because if you fail, you be crucified.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not fair.
Not fair for anybody.
Not for anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I used to be kind of like that somehow.
It's okay. It worked out.
I'm so glad that you forgive me for all that, Eric.
Yeah, no, it's all part of the story, it's all part of the journey. Who we are today is because of all those things that happened, good and bad, right? It's all...
Yes, that's certainly,
it's all part of the molding.
Yeah. So. And then if you're happy with who you are today, then that's awesome. Because yes, every single experience that we have in the past belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
They belong to us, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We own it. And we just need to love and forgive us for some of them, because maybe sometimes we do things that is not the best, but we cannot change it, but we need to forgive ourselves about that and move on.
Yeah.
Right?
So what advice do you have for moving on? What has helped you move on from your mistakes or from your things that have hurt you? How do you move on? What's the secret? The secret sauce?
The secret sauce is that we are human. We are unique. And that we just need to be open-minded to accept people how they are, and for our children to kind of be by their side, to take those teaching moments and teach and help them to stand up and let them move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yes. And that we had to, I don't like that. Yeah, that we had to move on because it's a journey. Mm-hmm. And, I think I read this someplace or but life is really like like a running, like, when you was running and you had to jump the hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
The hurdles are the conflict that we encounter in life. And if you don't have the skill, you cannot jump those hurdles. You're going to suffer, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why we train in life to get to where we want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point, is that's something that Dr. Jordan Peterson, I think I sent you his book. I'm not sure if you read it or not, but in that book, 12 Rules for Life, he talks about how, doesn't matter how good your life is, eventually there's going to be a storm. And if you're not prepared for the storm, you're going to be way worse off after it's done. So whenever things are good, that's when you need to be really practicing and getting ready for the bad times, right? You need to be developing the tool belt, the skills that you'll need later.
Yes. And, through my training and my reading and all that kind of stuff, especially reading Viktor Frankl, in reality, we don't have control over a lot of things, but we certainly have control about how we're going to react to things that happen to us and what we're going to feel. Yes.
Is that the author of Man's Search for Meaning? I think
yes.
That's a good book.
Oh, yes. So that's the very truth. Sometimes we go overwhelmed about things that we have no control over. But when we think about, what is it? How do I respond to that? Or what do you want to feel? And then allow yourself to kind of experience those feelings and kind of find a way to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there is someone, the trial cognitive therapy, Dr. Oliveira, he had developed, he used one metaphor in his counseling, and he says, especially when people will suffer the anxiety, because the anxiety is those automatic thoughts will create those emotions, and then you have all these physiological symptoms, stuff like that. But he said, it's like going in a boat on the ocean, and there is a storm. And see if I remember really well, but it's like the wind is the thoughts that you cannot stop, And the wave is all this intense emotion. And he said, what do you do then? What you're scared that something's going to happen. You find your heart. What do you do? How can you respond to that? Oh, man, maybe I'm going to get a little, how do you say, boat.
The sail?
The sailboat. I'm going to, put it down and accommodate the thing to decrease the chance of sinking or dying. I only can do things to maybe hope that I still survive.
Mm-hmm.
So but anyway.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good metaphor.
Yeah. So cool. We have talked a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
do you want to finish on something? Is there anything on your heart that you would like to what would be one thing if you could, this is something that a podcaster named Tim Ferriss asks his guests. If there was one thing you could put on a billboard for everyone to see, what would your billboard say? You know what that is? Like a
Yeah.
You worked in publicity.
Well, I will say that enjoy the universe. You own it. Make like you own it. There is no limit. Only you set it. Mm-hmm. You can go and experience stuff. Try to do things. Yeah. And then from there, you do that according to what you want people to remember about you when we are gone. So, yeah, but the universe is there, and we need for us to explore it. Mm-hmm. So, if you want to go for one point, be determined to do that. Don't work on your fear not to stop you from doing it. Because you never know what is out there. Mm-hmm. It can be something very interesting. So anyway,
I need a few billboards for that. A few billboards.
Yes. Enjoy the universe. Yeah. So, but determination is very important. So, because that's what brought me to where I am now. Looking at the beginning and just close your eyes, see yourself there, and you start doing things that take you there. And I know on my way, I find people that say, how you gonna go to US? You only have a salary of 200 pesos. How you gonna go to US? But my dream was so intense that sometimes it even scared me. Because then I start thinking, how am I gonna go? But when I had that kind of thought, I stop it. And then I say, I'm doing what it takes. I'm learning English. With my English, I can get me a scholarship. I will go. And I am studying hard. So, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to constantly remind myself is you can have your destination in mind, but you have to focus on what you're doing right now to get there. You can't just arrive there immediately. It takes a lot of traveling, and each foot you have to make a lot of steps to get there, right? It's not just can't just dream it into existence.
Exactly. You have to get ready to get there, even if it is little by little. But to do things that will take you there. So, because it doesn't happen from one day to the other. It's a lot. You have to have dreams. You have to have goals. You have to dream. Yeah. So, I understand that you've been doing like meditation, stuff like that.
Yeah. Meditated before we got on, trying to do it daily. I've been doing mindfulness meditation, but I think you heard the last podcast. It was transcendental meditation was brought up, which I'd never heard of. And then a friend actually, without listening to the podcast, sent me some information about it. So I think that I'm going to check that out next.
Well, I think that it will be very unique if we find a place that we want to go for a week or a retreat to just meditate.
Yeah, I'd be down.
So if I know you and Lauren have friends and have been around people that are doing that. So if you know something, I know the situation right now in the economy is like a little shaky, but I think India is still in my mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, that could be cool. And if not there, then, there's plenty of options in the U.S. or South America or,
Yes. Yes.
Worth looking into for sure. I'd be down to do that.
Yeah. So that would be something unique to do.
Yeah.
Because when you experience that in a setting like this, in a appropriate for that, you get more serious about that.
Mm-hmm.
You really get invested or interested. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's something that I would like to do.